These are the top 5 meta weapons to use for Black Ops 6 ranked play in Season 4. And if this video helps you out, like and subscribe as it helps my channel out a ton. And class number 5 is the buffed GPR. In the Season 4 update, the GPR gets a buff so that it only needs 2 headshots to make it a 4-bullet kill. Or at the further ranges, at least 2 headshots to reduce the amount of bullets to kill by 1. Here's how we're going to use that to our advantage. On the optic, we're going to use the Kepler Microflex. Of course, now you can mess around with all the different skins if that's something you care about. Now up next for the muzzle, we're going to use the ported compensator for the first shot recoil control and vertical recoil control. After that, for the barrel, we're going to use the reinforced barrel to bump up that damage range and bullet velocity. The bullet velocity with the reinforced barrel is competitive at 876, and bumping up the damage range never hurts either. Now what we're going to do that's a little bit different is actually skipping the underbarrel. We're not going to use any of these. What we will do though is use the ergonomic grip for the rear grip. This will help with our general movement and mobility like dive to fire, slide to fire, aim down sight speed. So rock the ergonomic there. And then the last attachment, this won't be a surprise for those of you that have played the game a lot recently, is actually the infiltrator stock. The infiltrator stock has taken over pretty substantially over the last couple months. So the reason we're doing this is for an increase in aim walking speed, allowing you to increase your maximum strafing speed, getting more rotational aim assist, and just beaming people across the map. And with class number 5, the GPR out of the way, let's move on to class number 4 is the PP919. I was generally surprised by this gun and this class when I made a video on it. We're not going to do any of the troll things like putting on an optic or leaving the magazine off, but just know there actually is a time and a place for this gun. That being said, for the muzzle, we're going to use the compensator for help with horizontal recoil control and vertical recoil control. We're going to use the reinforced barrel to bump out the damage range and bullet velocity. Your goal with this gun is to get in more mid-range gunfights, almost like an AR, and the reinforced barrel definitely helps it feel that way by bumping the bullet velocity all the way up to 702. Now for the magazine, we will run the fast mag 3 just because you want to move faster and reload faster, and all in all just makes the most sense for the mobility of this weapon. The rear grip, speaking of mobility, we're going to use the ergonomic grip for the slide to fire, dive to fire, aim down sight speed, so on and so forth. And then the last attachment, you can either go with the infiltrator stock or something like the balanced or no stock. Only reason I would consider these is because they do bump up the movement speed in comparison to the infiltrator stock, which is just at 4.8 meters per second. So you will feel a little bit slower with this, but again, we have the fast mag 3 on to help with the sprint to fire speed. I know that's not a movement speed benefit, but for me personally, I enjoy using the infiltrator stock with this class. It's not my favorite SMG in this game. Sadly, the C9 was my favorite, but that got taken out of Black Ops 6 ranked play. But my second favorite is actually class number 3 is the Kompakt 92. I was really not a believer in using an optic on submachine guns until I actually tried this Volsky reflex sight, but something about this sight makes this gun feel way better. I can't really explain why. Maybe it has something to do with the recoil pattern. As I'm talking about putting a sight on an SMG, I'm actually realizing how dumb I sound. So if you want to take the sight off and use something else, go for it. But I promise you this class feels insane. For the remainder of the attachments, we're going to use the reinforced barrel. You could mess around and use the long barrel to bump out that damage range. The reason you would want to do so is because this gun has an incredibly competitive time to kill, especially at the very close range. So the further that you can bump out that damage range, the better. The downside is that the bullet velocity is really low on this weapon at 475. So running the reinforced helps with that as well. Now for the underbarrel, we're going to run the Ranger foregrip so that you get horizontal recoil control and sprinting movement speed. Going over to the rear grip, we're still going to stick with the ergonomic grip, but you could mess around with the commando grip on this gun. The reason you would want to do so is because the aim down sight speed and the sprint to fire speed are incredibly slow on this gun, and the ergonomic grip doesn't really help you with the sprint to fire speed. So if you get caught sprinting, you're likely going to be dead. As much as I slide, the ergonomic grip makes the most sense for me, and improving the slide to fire speed actually makes the most sense. So I'm going to rock the ergonomic grip. And then the last attachment per usual is actually going to be the infiltrator stock here. Again, one modification that you could make is taking off the optic. Might make more sense to rock like a ported compensator here, but try out a couple different versions of this. You probably won't be much a believer in this class until you die to it, but trust me, whenever you get shredded by this thing for the first time, you'll realize what I mean. The time to kill is unbelievable. So if you can get used to that and use that to your advantage, then you absolutely should. And with class number 3 out of the way, let's go to meta class number 2, which is the Jackal PDW. At the time of making this video, the muzzle is still banned, and the only barrel you can use is the gain twist barrel. If by the time you're watching this video, there's more options, use the reinforced if you can, use the long barrel if you can, and of course use the compensator if you can. I'll go ahead and build the rest of the class because it's pretty standard for the Jackal that you're used to. Infiltrator, recoil springs, ergonomic grip, ranger grip, and gain twist barrel. But like I said, if you're watching this video and you have more options, take off the recoil springs use the reinforced barrel if you can, and use the compensator if you can. Until then, unfortunately, this is the class, and this is the only Jackal class that we're going to be able to use. And I won't waste any more time on this one because this has been the only Jackal class for the past, what, like couple months. So class number 2 is out of the way, but let's move on to class number 1, which is the Ames 85. And this class actually might have some changes in the future depending if they follow the GAs for ranked play. This class for me has also changed recently, as there's a couple different iterations of it, but I'm going to give you the one that I enjoy the most. We're going to start with the optic. We're going to use the Kepler Microflex, like adding this skin from the battle pass. It makes it kind of weird and bright green. For the muzzle, we're going to rock the ported compensator. It's possible this attachment might not be available, again, if they follow the GAs. If you don't see a muzzle, just go ahead and add the recoil springs. We won't use those in the current build, so I'm going to take those away, but again, if you're watching this in the future and they somehow do follow the GAs and you don't see a muzzle, just throw the recoil springs on instead. The rest of the class will remain the same. So ported compensator for the barrel. We're going to use the reinforced barrel for damage range and bullet velocity. You want to bump those out. We're going to completely skip over the underbarrel. I know it's weird. Previously, we've used the Ranger. Some people use the vertical. We want to get used to this class without the underbarrel because the rest of the attachments make it worth it. For the rear grip, we're going to use the ergonomic grip, again, for mobility, slide to fire, dive to fire, and sight speed. And the final attachment, bear with me here, is the infiltrator stock for the aim walking movement speed. We've talked about this before with other weapons, but this one is absolutely worth it for the Ames 85. Even more worth it than an underbarrel. So try this class out and let me know what you think. I hope you enjoy Black Ops 6 Ranked Play Season 4. And if you're looking for the best graphics, controller, and audio settings for both PC and PS5, check out this video that I posted today that goes over every single setting that I use in the game.